Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another Ambassador Circle event. My name is Ursula Hamilton, Senior Associate Director of Major Gifts. Our presentation today will be on interning at the Carter Center during a pandemic. Joining us today is the wonderful Lauren Kent-Delaney and a few of our interns and graduate assistants. Lauren Kent-Delaney joined the Carter Center as Director of Educational Programs in 2005. She oversees the marketing, recruitment, and supervision of approximately 140 interns each year. She also has the privilege of representing the Carter Center to groups of all ages, from elementary school on up. Prior to her position at the Carter Center, she was part of the Division of Campus Life at Emory University for 15 years, where she held several positions. Lauren earned her undergraduate degree from the University of Wisconsin at Whitewater and her master's degree in student personnel administration and higher education from Ball State University. Welcome, Lauren. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Ursula. Good afternoon. I want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. It is my pleasure to speak about the work of educational programs. We support interns and graduate assistants before, during, and after their time at the Carter Center. To start with, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the intern program. We have 3 sessions a year that coincide with the academic calendar. So we have interns here for the fall, spring, and summer session. The fall and spring sessions are 15 weeks long. The summer session is 10 weeks. During each of these sessions, we accept anywhere from 30 to 35 interns that work a minimum of 20 hours a week in peace programs, health programs, and operations, like you can see on this slide here. All of these areas support the work of the Carter Center. Eligibility extends to college juniors, seniors, graduate students, or people who have completed their degree within the last 24 months. In addition, we also have 5 to 7 graduate assistants with us each year who are with us for 9 to 12 months. They support program initiatives that cannot be completed within the parameters of an intern session. And the graduate assistants are an hourly paid position. Over the years, the Carter Center has hosted approximately 3,500 interns and graduate assistants that represent 650 colleges and universities in 109 countries. The goal of educational programs is to provide a substantive learning experience that encourages interns and graduate assistants to explore career options and attain professional skills with practical application and combining with their academic studies. Each session we start with orientation so that new interns and graduate assistants can learn about the history of the Carter Center and our mission. In addition to the programmatic work, we strive really to provide a well-rounded experience. Educational programs offers professional development speaker series that focuses sometimes on a program initiative like digital threats to democracy, or a skill set like professional writing. Every session we offer a career panel to encourage networking within the professional staff, plus small group meeting with our CEO, Paige Alexander. In March of 2020, at the start of the pandemic, we had 36 interns. Some had moved to Atlanta for this internship and now needed to find their way home back to Canada, Bosnia, the UK, India, and Germany, when we suddenly switched to a virtual experience. Like everybody else, we had to adapt our programming and moved everything online to Microsoft Teams and Zoom. We're currently hosting our 3rd group of interns that have never set foot at the Carter Center, and most of them that I've never met in person, including several of the interns and graduate assistants that are joining us today. That means that these interns have never gotten turned around in the building trying to find the right conference room at the center, or been locked out of the building because they forgot the access code. But they have had to work much more autonomously than they ever imagined, learn to schedule meetings in multiple time zones, and find new ways to network with the professional staff. The good news is that this internship has been remote. There are people who have interned at the Carter Center that never dreamed that it would be possible because they weren't able to relocate to Atlanta. And oddly enough, our applicant numbers have actually increased during the pandemic. This session, we have 2 interns that are currently working from China, one in Spain and another in Finland. In addition, I'm excited to announce that starting this fall, the interns will be compensated with a stipend so that everyone who wants to intern at the Carter Center can apply, not just those who can afford to do an unpaid internship. Currently, we're hosting 32 interns and 6 graduate assistants that represent 5 countries and speak a total of 16 languages. I'm excited for you to meet some of them. We have a few that are joining us today, and they're going to talk about their experience as an intern or a graduate assistant. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lauren.
My pleasure. I believe that Fong is our first speaker today.
Yes, I am. Hi, everyone. My name is Fong. I'm a graduate assistant with the Trachoma Control Program. I have a short presentation just about my experiences at the Carter Center, and super excited to share with you all. Thank you so much again for all your time just hearing about our stories. So just at the bottom of this slide, you can see that I've stayed with the Carter Center for quite a while. I started out as a development intern and kind of just fell in love with it. This was still when it was in person, so top tier lunches, just all the entire ambiance of the Carter Center really gave an impression on me, and I just really wanted to stay, especially the mission and just the people. I think the biggest thing was just like I'm friends to this day with all my supervisors who are so passionate about what they do, and they really made me passionate about what I wanted to do. And that made me want to transition over to the Trachoma Control Program as a graduate assistant. I'm getting my MPH in epidemiology, so this was much more relevant to what I wanted to do. And again, very fantastic team, and my development team very easily introduced me to this other team. The culture really goes strong throughout the entire center. And now, because of my wonderful experiences, I'm accepting spatial epidemiology ORI's position. I was doing a lot of spatial epidemiology work with the Carter Center, and that really helped me prepare for a CDC position. So these programs really help prepare students for careers. So next slide. Just a little bit about myself next. Yeah, so first of all, I'm within the Emory system, born and raised. My entire family went to Emory. My parents actually work for Emory Hospital. I have loved just the Emory system, of course. Moving on to the Carter Center was just a continuing of this legacy. Got both my undergraduate and my graduate education there. Another thing about me, sort of more of a personal note, I love comedy. That's sort of my bread and butter. It's just what I like to do in my afternoons. This picture in the bottom left corner was actually me in high school. I used to do this thing where I had a ESPN cutout board. It was like cardboard, and I bring it around to high school football games, and I try to interview the players and the coaches and such. Now I do stand-up comedy and also do improv comedy. We're trying to get some accolades. One of our most recent ones was, if anyone watches Netflix, the #1 show for like a month and a half was Ginny in Georgia, and Ginny is actually from an improv troupe. So we have one famous person so far. Hopefully we all get famous, but until then, very happy at the Carter Center, of course. Next slide. And this is just a very short life plot of just like how my life has gone. As you can see, I sort of peaked around 18, 19 years old, but if you can click one more time. You see it's gone up very much so ever since joining the Carter Center. I see some people smiling. I'm sure this would be a roaring laughter if people were unmuted, but seriously, this has been a very life-changing experience being at the Carter Center. So next slide. So this is just showing some of the work that I've done with the Carter Center. Obviously, we all bring a variety of different skills, and also you can learn a lot of different skills. So this is actually an application that I built for the Trachoma Control Program. If you think about data, sometimes just this black box where no one really knows how to access it. You have to do all these different codes, and not everyone has time to sort of learn that. So I wanted to create a much more accessible system like this one, which is all button-based, point and click, and you can access a variety of different things. Actually, on the next slide, you can sort of see the functionality. And as you can see, there are a whole bunch of different tabs. You can click on various different data sets and a lot of different choices where, previously a lot of these statistics were you had to ask a data analyst, give them 3 to 5 days, and they'll get you back these numbers. But now you can just go around in the couple different clicks and you can have the numbers you need for your reports. Anything from figures to even interactive maps. So these are just some of the advances that I was able to help with the Trachoma control program. And also a lot of these skills I learned while on the position. So it wasn't just me bringing my skills, I got to grow here as well. On to my next slide. This was actually sort of, I like to call a hero project or the main project centering around graduate assistantship. Usually we're given one large project that really is indicative of our program. And in this one, I was actually trying to model how to diagnose trachoma based off of scanning eyelid photos. So one of the great things about trachoma is that we're eliminating this as a disease worldwide, but as there are less and less cases, this becomes more and more rare. So there's also less doctors that can actually diagnose trachoma. So we need a solution to be able to diagnose trachoma absent of any doctors that might have that expertise. And one solution is a model. As you can see, this is part of my model. This is identifying the actual eyelid, highlighting it, and also sort of highlighting it in a way that makes it easier to see some of these follicles that might be indicative of disease. So if we can go to our next slide, some of these statistics of this model. First of all, this was a huge ask. Like when I was first joined onto this team, I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. But I did have some of the basic skills. I also had sort of the willingness to learn. And throughout the process, I learned in collaboration with all of their various scientists and data analysts and data managers on our team. I learned how to build this model. I was trying to compare my results to a prior model from UCSF with about 72% accuracy. As you can see, when I first started out, I got 60% accuracy, so it's almost better than a coin flip. But as I sort of tuned the model a little bit more, now we're at 81% accuracy. Of course, there's a lot of different caveats. I would put a big asterisk next to that number. There's a lot of different biases, but I'm just super happy about this opportunity to make this amazing model and hopefully bring this forward with the program. So with the next slide. And just with my path forward, like I said, the CDC or the Carter Center has helped me set me up with this, all these different skill sets for my position at the CDC. Also, all the things I'm working on with the trachoma control program are going to be used later. So for example, with the R-Shiny app development, what that prior app with all the data that I showed you, like I previously said, a lot of these things were tasks for a data analyst beforehand, could take 3 to 5 business days. Now this is removing all that, adding some automation to the process, allowing the internal teams to see all the data, just making us all much more aware of the situations, and just reducing the repetitiveness of work. For the AI trachoma diagnosis tool, this is actually a tool that I want to bring out to all of our different partners as well. Potentially, we can even make a collective photo bank of all these different photos. One of the biases of my model is that I didn't have enough photos to make a very substantial model, maybe bringing up to the 90% numbers. But if this is a model that can be run with any photos, this can also be a collaborative effort, something that I think the Carter Center could lead and also branch out to a lot of different partners. And lastly, I'm working on one scientific study that is with Professor Nash. And this is just an amazing process where I can potentially even publish one day and have something out there as a student. They really try to elevate us and make sure that even if you're just an MPH student, you can really be elevated to the level of a PhD and get that sort of respect and also those level of responsibilities. And those are my experiences at the Carter Center. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fong, for that. And I think we're going to be hearing from Kelly next.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Kelly. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I am here representing the Rule of Law team today. I don't have a fancy PowerPoint for you, Fong. That was incredible. But I'll just talk you through it. I am a second-year candidate all in School of Public Health. My field is behavioral and social sciences and health education, which is a mouthful, but it's kind of this big, broad, encompassing field. And I come from a political science background. So I was an undergrad, it feels like forever ago, but I graduated in 2013, which just means I'm 30. It happened.
Don't feel bad. I'm in my 40s.
Over. We're together here. Yeah, I love political science. I loved international relations. I loved international affairs. was hell-bent on law school. I was going to DC, all of these school program. That was incredible. So Fong, I hear you. The improv background, I love that. And then I got really interested in tech. So I found myself in a web development program at Rutgers University. That sparked this whole area of interest in people's interactions with technology, people's interactions with computers, and how that was impacting their health. That brought me all the way to a public health program in behavior science. And I am a lifetime New Yorker. I never thought I would leave that city. It is something I was born into, and Emory got me interested in actually relocating and landed me in Atlanta. So once I got down here, I started doing some research when I first, back in 2019, found some areas that I was interested in working in. International development has been a lifelong passion of mine, and the Carter Center was on my radar. And I was going through all of their programs. There's a lot of public health program focused ones like mental health, but the rule of law program really focuses on ATL. Oh, Mary says ATL is better than NYC. We'll take later. But the Carter Center, so the rule of law program, I wasn't really sure what that was when I was first doing some research on the programs, but I like law, I love legal arena, and then I found out that they're very focused on transparency of information and women's rights. And one of the things that's been very prevalent for me in the past 2 years with my graduate work and my academic work is sexual and gender-based violence and women's rights, human rights. And I think in today's day and age, one of the biggest ways to help women combat those issues and gender disparities is by empowering them with information. So it felt like a really good fit, and it has been in some ways exactly what I expected, in other ways not at all what I expected. One of the major projects that I've been working on, as Fong was saying, within the internship process, you're usually, our supervisors are very involved. They want to know what projects you'd like to kind of in the 14 weeks, which feels like a long time when you first start, but it's gone by incredibly quick. They wanted to know what you want to work on, and I ended up working on the ALPACT campaign, which is the accountability in policing and transparency and building civilian trust in Liberia. So specifically with the Liberian National Police. So it's been a lot of law enforcement, but it's also been a lot of anti-corruption work within the Liberian National Police. I think I sat through about 16 and a half hours of training materials. They had this incredible all virtual training series with the Liberian National Police in multiple counties, which was incredible. And there's no short way to get the meat of potatoes of it. You just went through the whole thing. And honestly, so I got to sit through about 16 hours of training, and it was incredible. I've done a lot of graphic design work, which was definitely not in my job description when I started, but as an artist, it kind of came out pretty quickly that I was handy with that. So that's actually been a fun, unexpected benefit of doing this. And I've done bumper stickers. I just found out today that the bumper stickers are going to be on taxis and police cars all over Liberia. So
Wow.
Which is cool. Yeah, and billboards.
Yeah.
We're designing. What I loved about this experience so far is it's not so cut and dry. I came from my experience last semester with my previous organization. It was a lot more free flow. Like I got to do whatever I wanted. I started a YouTube series with them and with activists. But this one, I thought I was like expecting it to be a lot more. You'll be given a task and you'll go do your task. But there's been a lot of flexibility, especially with our supervisors and what's interesting to us, where we want to areas we want to work in. So it has been a really amazing experience. As for next steps, I am getting increasingly into public policy, into women's rights. And so a lot of the jobs I'm looking for right now are focused on for themselves, access to justice, access to rights, public policy, research. And I am casting an incredibly wide net because it's COVID, but virtual reality is also opens up a lot of opportunities. Like Lauren was saying, it's kind of all of a sudden you find yourself in Atlanta and you're applying to jobs in DC and vice versa. So this has been a really amazing experience. And I'll wrap it up with that. I am shocked that we only have about 3 weeks left so far. It's been incredibly rewarding.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly, and we're glad to have you at the Carter Center. And I think next we're going to be hearing from Mary. Hi, Mary.
Hi,
How are
everyone.
you? Hi, welcome, welcome.
So, Ursula, I do have a PowerPoint,
Yay,
um,
I like
which,
PowerPoints.
yes, which everyone has said, the perks of the virtual world have been numerous, but one that has not been a perk was meeting President Carter and Mrs. Carter in person, which normally interns and graduate assistants get to do. So I threw my photo up here from the first time when I met President Carter and Mrs. Carter with my family, who I cropped out of this photo.
Smart.
We went down to Plains, Georgia in 2015 to attend President Carter's Sunday school class. So a memory of mine that I cherish to this day. And like my opening slide here says, I'm going to talk about the Carter Center's impact on where I've been, where I am now, and where I'm going. And my name is Mary Otley. I'm a graduate assistant on the mental health program team. And like Kelly and Fong, we have a lot of Master of Public Health candidate representation here today. All three of us are second years in different departments. Fong, are you epidemiology? Okay, so I'm in the Department of Global Health. Fong is representing our data analytics genius over there in Epi, and Kelly in Bishi's. In the Global Health Department, we get a little bit of everything. So that's been a great experience thus far. Have really enjoyed my time at Emory in the MPH program. But most of all, it's allowed me the opportunity to work at the Carter Center, which has always been a dream of mine. So I'm going to go into that a little bit. If you'll go down to the next slide. Thank you, Haley. So the three logos that you see on this slide represent where I've been before starting as a graduate assistant at the Carter Center. As you can see from the first logo, I'm a native Georgian. I grew up in the Atlanta area and graduated from Westminster in 2011. So Kelly, I am nearing 32, don't worry.
Oh my God, ladies, you just don't even know. Keep going.
And I first learned about the robust peace building and disease eradication work of the Carter Center during a Philanthropy 101 course that I took this summer after I graduated from high school. The course was dedicated to learning about nonprofits in the Atlanta area, the work that they do, how they operate, and the economics of the public sector. The Carter Center was one of the organizations that we studied in this class. And ever since the course, it's been a dream of mine to work at the Carter Center. So fast forward to that middle logo, I studied religion at the University of the South in Sewanee, Tennessee, and the Carter Center popped back up in my life during those years. Not only was one of my Sewanee professors' husband, David Carroll, who is the director of the Carter Center's democracy program, but I wrote my senior thesis on an initiative called the Interfaith Health Program that was started at the Carter Center in 1992 by former executive director, Dr. William Fagey. After I graduated from Sewanee, I transitioned over to that third logo and served as a maternal and child health volunteer in the Peace Corps. In President Carter's book, A Full Life, which, yes, I've read multiple times, he reflects on his mother's Peace Corps service. So I suppose that there's still a Carter Center connection there too. Haley, next slide, please. So moving on down, where I am now. During my Peace Corps service, I realized that I needed to build more technical skills that my undergraduate liberal arts education hadn't quite offered. So I took the GRE in Guatemala, definitely an interesting experience, and applied to Emory's Rollins School of Public Health to earn my master's degree in public health. After my first year of graduate studies, I had another realization that I needed to find a place to work where I could hone the skills that I'm learning in the classroom. And with my 10-year admiration of the Carter Center, I thought there was no better place to work during my second and final year of graduate school. This time last year, I applied to the mental health program's graduate assistantship. When I got the offer, I was elated. Not only would I have the chance to work at the Carter Center, a dream job, but I would have the opportunity to take what I've learned at Rollins and apply it. The Carter Center, as you all know, is one of the places to be if you're interested in a career in global health. On a day-to-day basis, I am virtually surrounded by experts like Kelly Callahan, Sammy Kumar, and Sadie Bajarlaidi.
The last two names I mentioned are my direct reports on the global behavioral health team, and I have learned an immense amount from these two women over the past year. I've researched and written a literature review on the mental health landscape in Sudan for SAMI, analyzed data associated with our mental health and neglected tropical disease study in Haiti with SADI, and I've gained exposure to global mental health outcomes all over the world. My graduate assistantship at the Carter Center has given me a level of exposure to international development work that is rare for a graduate student and wildly beneficial to a public health practitioner in training. Next slide, Haley. Thanks. So, while I'm sad to leave the Carter Center once the spring session is over, I'm excited for what's next. Two new logos, both shown on the slide, are coming my way. I will transition to Washington, D.C. to work as a consultant with Guidehouse in their Department of Health and Human Services team. In the same way that the Carter Center impacted my professional decisions in the past, it certainly motivated my postgraduate school career decisions too. I was drawn to consulting after many conversations over the past 2 years of my MPH program and my graduate assistantship at the Carter Center that revolved around systems change and public health problem solving. Starting in August, I'll be able to continue building my problem-solving skill set on Guidehouse's public health consulting team. And just this week, a team member of mine on the MHP team connected me with a former graduate assistant from our team who's living in DC. I'm hopeful that I'll maintain my Carter Center connections, both old and new, for the remainder of my career. So thank you all for your time. It was a joy to reflect on the Carter Center's impact on my life and career as I prepared this presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you. Thank you. And I think we're going to be hearing from one last person today. Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. So hello, everyone. My name is Michael Conrad, and I'm an intern in the conflict resolution program. More specifically, I work with the project promoting dialogues for conflict transformation in Syria. Prior to this internship, my educational experience has all been in Colorado. I grew up in Denver, went to high school there, and then went to college at the University of Colorado, Denver. It's a smaller public university in the middle of the city, kind of like Georgia State, but with about half the students. Both of my parents work for the university, so I received great tuition benefits. And I also worked between 20 and 40 hours a week during my last 2 years of high school and throughout getting my degree. I wanted to study international relations, but my college didn't have many advanced or specific courses. The field wasn't even offered as a major or a minor. So I often had to take the initiative and work directly with professors to build the education I was looking for. What my university did have was a large population of international students, especially from the Middle East. Many countries in the Gulf have publicly financed programs for international study, and my school has worked out an agreement to be eligible to take in those students. So my learning evolved to fit the environment that I was fortunate enough to have found. I began taking political science courses on the Middle East and benefited enormously from the perspective of peers who were actually from the region. I knew that graduate school would be my eventual next step, but I still felt like I didn't know enough about different programs or what research I was interested in. So I applied for this internship, hoping that work here would help me define my interests and that I would meet people who could point me in the right direction for my future education and eventual career. Interning with the Carter Center has given me exactly that. Every person I work directly with has been encouraging, supportive, and willing to take the time to teach me about this job and how to operate in a workplace more generally. I've been walked through things as complicated as the internal dynamics of state and non-state actors in the Syrian conflict, and things as mundane as how to structure an email request for a meeting. Throughout this time, my supervisors have become mentors for me. They regularly make room in their extremely busy schedules to chat with me about graduate schools and research ideas. Wherever I end up, my future will be modeled off of the example they set for me: dedication and passion. Since arriving at the center, I've been tasked with numerous and varied projects. My largest project documents the transfer of arms into Syria, such an enormous task that it will span multiple generations of interns. My smallest, to assemble talking points for my program's director to use at a webinar, which I was asked to complete in one 8-hour workday. In between, I have scanned through hundreds of videos of protests in Syria to find evidence of where violence originated. I've used open source investigation to track joint Russian-Turkish patrols in Aleppo, which included researching local Syrian news sources in Arabic and evaluating videos of the patrols to identify geographical markers in the background. I've also learned how to collect and clean conflict data, something I had never done before. So I would not characterize my work as a contribution just yet. Fortunately, the Syria program conducts research on both conflict mediation and conflict mapping. Therefore, I am given the opportunity to work closely with the mapping team, whose employees and interns are very skilled at working with data and very patient with me. In writing my undergraduate thesis, I didn't think I was capable of working with data. This internship has not only shown me the importance of data-driven study, but also challenged me to do it myself. Now I can't imagine writing a master's thesis without data. My supervisors have also challenged me to work within tight deadlines, and even sometimes to work without them, helping me to learn how to structure my own time. But the greatest challenge I faced was learning how to have a real job. Things don't always fit neatly into classwork, assignments, and exams. There is a huge learning curve moving from college to your career. I am thankful for the opportunity to begin that transition gradually. Throughout this experience, I've been tasked with meaningful work. I get the feeling that even if coffee delivery were possible in a remote internship, I wouldn't be asked to do it. Which brings me to the unfortunate necessity of my internship being remote. I've been told that the greatest benefits of an internship are the networking and camaraderie. I'll not pretend that this is the same in a world where we cannot shake our colleagues' hands or share a lunch break together. However, the professional and personal relationships that I have developed with members of the Syria team, and particularly my supervisors, are tremendously strong. And when it comes to the substance of my work for the Carter Center, I'm grateful for how much I have learned and proud of how much I have accomplished. The potential for interns to grow at the Carter Center has not diminished. This institution has proven dynamic and unstoppable. Thank you all for your support. Myself and others are much better off because of it.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. So now, everyone, ladies and gents, we have an opportunity now to go into breakout rooms, and you can ask our interns questions about their experience and where they're going. So we're going to go into breakout rooms for about 10 minutes. And then when we come back, we're going to have a live Q&A session. Woo. So get your questions ready for the interns and graduate assistants. I ask that you either raise your hand in the chat room using the raise hand icon, or you can raise your hand on the screen like this. Therefore, I can see you and be able to call on you. So we're now going into breakout rooms. I'll see you guys in 10 minutes, and then we'll do our Q&A session. Hi there, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your breakout sessions and got a chance to hear from the interns about their experience at the Carter Center, their career paths, their educational background. So now we're going to open the floor to Q&A. So I am going to call on my favorite person here, Becky Carter. Let's say hello to her. Becky Carter is our Chief Development Officer here at the for development at the Carter Center, and she loves the Carter Center and she loves interns. So Becky, do you have any questions?
I want to do a couple of things. I want to say thank you for our donors who have joined us for this program. Our work, and particularly our education programs, could not be possible without you. So thank you for your support for our work. I also want to thank the interns for the valuable contributions that you bring to us and to all of our programs. I've been fascinated by what you've been talking about today. I'm always envious of the work that you get to do, of the exposure that you get. And I'm wondering, I may particularly ask Michael, since you were the last presenter for the group, I might ask you what you have learned in particular for your work in conflict resolution in Syria. If there are one or two takeaways about the Syrian people, about the conflict there, about its relevance to conflict and violence around the world, if there are things that you might like to share.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the first thing that I learned about the Syrian conflict was that it is incredibly complex. And so that is one of the things that makes it so challenging for organizations that are attempting to have a role in working through the conflict and creating dialogues for conflict transformation. And it's also one of the things that poses broader challenges for the entire Middle East in terms of development over the course of the next decade. One would hope that there is a bright future for that region, which has struggled under various different challenges, including now more recently population growth and demographic changes. Environmental issues are continuing to compound them. And so Syria, in many ways, is a smaller example of what is happening across the entire region. And so obviously wars in Yemen and in Libya had similar issues. And then the placement of those challenges, like we see the conflict in Syria, they continue to sabotage the potential for development in other countries. And so whenever those conflicts arise, they drag down other countries that are involved in the region, often because of the pervasiveness of non-state armed groups that are obviously very prevalent in Syria, but can also spread out into the other countries. So those non-state armed groups really complicate working through conflict transformation dialogues because there are so many different actors who are involved in the conflict. So it would be, the variety of different non-state groups, obviously the regime itself, the Assad regime, but then also you have the regional and international powers that are directly involved. So for instance, Russia, the United States at the international level, or Turkey and Iran at the regional level, or Saudi Arabia. The fact that all of these different players have an interest in the region, and specifically in Syria, and seeing an interest in their side, making out better at the end of the war, or often just an interest in seeing that the opposing side does not have a clean victory, makes it very difficult for peace to be attained.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that. I believe Sarah Matthews, you had a question. Sarah Matthews is my colleague. She's also Senior Associate Director in Major Gifts. Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Ursula, thank you very much.
You're
Fong, I'm
welcome.
going to direct this question to you. You can get your microphone ready. You have now been at the Carter Center for 2 tours, and both in health. I was wondering if you could describe the differences in working in the health development group for your first tour and now working in a disease-specific area for this second tour.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it was just great going full circle because when I was working with development, we were talking about all these different programs and what they're doing with the boots on the ground. But I didn't really necessarily know what science was behind it or even the implementation. I really learned just how thankful I am for getting the business degree because so much of public health is logistics, figuring out how much you can actually bring to a site to actually do an intervention, all these various different things. So I just love the fact that it was a full circle. But even if I didn't choose to go from the development side to the health sciences side or the public international health side, even when I was a development intern, I had meetings with Kelly Callahan, I had meetings with Andrew Newt, who's the data manager, I had meetings with Dr. Scott Nash, and also the guinea worm programs and river blindness, all these different programs, just because they're so open to talking to interns and sort of letting us know what their jobs are like. Because, one day, even though a lot of us are after the age of 18, we still say like, what do we want to be when we grow up? And we certainly want to know what that's like. And they've just been completely open about what the experience is like. So I've had the pleasure of serving both, but even if you just serve on one side of the health spectrum, you get access to the entire Carter Center.
Thank you so much, Fong. Everyone today has shared so much information with us about their experience with the Carter Center, coming to the Carter Center, how much they love us because we love them. And I definitely have to say, for my 10 years being at the Carter Center, I have definitely loved working with the interns the most. Such bright minds. Of course, there were many days that they made me feel small because they're so bright. As closing for this program, we're going to show a short video made by our communication department featuring our Carter Center interns and graduate assistants and their experience interning with us during a pandemic.
What's really been keeping me sane is that I take daily walks outside.
I've been catching up playing with my kitten, all the forms of art.
I've been training for a marathon, which I don't know if it's keeping me sane or pushing me further down the path of insanity, but it's actually been really fun.
As a public health student with a passion for listening to those being served, the Carter Center was naturally one of the first places that I thought to apply to, especially with a global health focus.
The work is genuine and important, which is something that's drawn me to it. They've done work within the past with Bosnia, which is where my family's from. So seeing that work and then how they've kind of moved on to other countries of conflict and, knowing that they're actively doing something to prevent what happened there is really nice.
The legacy of President Carter and everything that they've done, especially in the public health world.
The connections that I've made, even though they've been virtual connections, it's really been nice to be able to connect with people from all kinds of backgrounds and with all kinds of educational levels.
The people, they're a group of super intelligent people, but they're also really down to earth, and I have been so gratified at their willingness to build relationships with me, to teach me about their work, and to help me as I navigate my own career path.
Yeah, number one piece of advice is do it. No regrets.
Definitely apply for an internship. I highly recommend it.
I think one of the things that makes the Carter Center so unique is that they don't want to take on projects that anyone else is doing. So go out there and learn about the unique areas that the Carter Center works in and look into them.
I think that I benefited a lot from the opportunity that was a little bit outside of my comfort zone. You will learn so much, be challenged. I highly encourage you to consider interning at the Carter Center.
I just want to thank everyone today. On behalf of the Ambassador Circle team, I would like to thank Lauren, the Carter Center interns and graduate assistants, and all of our supporters for joining us today. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email us or give us a call. You can find our contact information in the chat room. Or if you have any suggestions or anything for future programs, webinars, let us know. We would love to hear the feedback from you. Also, I want to share with you guys, which is really exciting. Next, at the end of this month, at April 22nd, we will be having a conversation with our CEO, Paige Alexander, our new VP of Health, our new VP of Peace. So please get ready, because this is the event that you definitely do not want to miss. So have your questions ready for that one. So I want to say to everyone again, thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you later this month.